Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, bringing you another card making video. And as I usually try to do with my videos, I try to bring you more than just how to make the card, but to bring you some samples or some ideas or some tips or whatever. So hopefully that's what I'll have for you today. Hope you'll stay tuned. Here we go. This is the card we're going to make today. And let's go through the supplies first. I'm going to be using the Genial Gems in this lovely golden orange color. They're the centers of each of these flowers. I'm using the Flowers of Friendship bundle from the current annual catalog. It's found on page 78 there. And I'm using these two flower shapes and these two leaf shapes for today's card. Then I am using pinned flowers here. Pinned flowers dies. And I'm using this scalloped die right here for the edge of the card here. Then I'm using ornate layers for the sentiment, what I call a sentiment tag. That's what this is. And it's just this lovely stitched rectangle that comes in that set. Then I am using lots of different things together today. I'm using the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set for the happy birthday, okay, for the sentiment part. So that's the supplies, not to mention, of course, Whisper White Thick, which will make our base. It will be cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This is Whisper White Regular that I used for the tag. The flowers are stamped on Whisper White. I'm back to that again. Basic White, of course. They are stamped on Basic White with the Memento ink pad, and I'll be showing you some things with that in a moment. And then I also did the inside of the card here, just a little something for the inside of the card. I also did the envelope, and the paper that you see here comes from Daffodil Afternoon Designer Series paper. It's available in the January-February 2022 celebration catalog. I didn't write down what page it's on, but it has several. It's 12 by 12. It has some really pretty papers in it. This is one of my favorites. Then it's got one that's got kind of a greenish tone with some hearts. And the back sides are all different kinds of daffodils and flowers. And there's this pale papaya and more flowers and so on. So there's a lot of, this makes me think of that ice cream set. Just makes me think of sherbets when I see it. And so anyway, that gives you some idea where this came from. And the one ink I'm going to be using is Flirty Flamingo. That's going to be this color that I stamped the sentiment with. And then I'm going to be using light and dark soft succulent blends and light and dark pale papaya blends. Okay, let's get started. So first off, we have the base, as I said, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. We'll burnish that. Get that out of here. And then we're going to bring in the piece of Designer Series paper. And I want it to have that lovely scalloped edge on just the bottom edge, just here. And I'm going to do that by using a little bit of washi tape to hold it in place so I know I get a nice straight cut. And I'm going to set it on here, right on the plate itself. And I'm kind of, the length of this piece, by the way, is 3.5 by 5.5. So 3.5 tall, 5.5 wide. And I'm trying to just line up my die just a little bit so that I don't end up with a funky looking, I want it to be even. So if it's going to cut a scallop in half, I want it to cut it the same on both ends. I don't want to have it be really weird one side or the other. I'm kind of picky that way. So I'm going to do this and then tape it down. so that I know it's just barely touching the edge. And that'll hold it in place while I run it through. So there's your first tip of the day. Things you can do to hold those things in place. Kind of got to go off camera for just a moment here. And we'll run that through. And I will bring it back. And we will peel up those washi tapes. Now I've been known to take these little pieces of washi tape, stick them up on my lamp. There's that little piece that's left over. I'm not going to keep it this time. Sometimes I do. Look back in past videos of mine. So there's that piece ready to go. Then I'm going to use Stamp and Seal, and I'm going to attach it to the card front. And it's just going to go on flat. And I put it fairly close to the bottom edge, the opening edge of the card. I didn't leave a lot of white here. I left most of it at the top. And I thought it looked really cute when I got done too. So there's that. Let's see. Then we can do the happy birthday. We'll bring in the Flirty Flamingo. And that sentiment, happy birthday. And let's see if I can do this. Voila. Yay. Every once in a while, things just go right. And so that's going to get attached to the front of the card with dimensionals. So let's just put 3 across there. That's all it needs. And it kind of centers across the, from side to side, of course, and then between the seam and the top of the card, it's somewhat centered there as well. So there's that. Now, here's some stuff I want to teach you about how to use the punch. This is the punch that comes with the bundle. And I'm getting you a terrible glare there. See if we can't fix that. That's a little bit better. Okay, so you can see there's the flowers and they're all one punch. So then you've got to think about if you don't want to have a whole bunch of, be punching out the whole thing every time. So for the larger flower, I cut a strip of basic white and I cut it 1.5 inches wide, and then I stamped them across. So, and they could probably be just a little bit closer together, but I wanted to leave lots of room, and so we can just line them up and punch them out. You're still going to get a couple of little scraps, but not like wasting a whole great big sheet of stuff just to get one flower. And so there's the first flower. Now I probably should show you, I did color these, and like I said, I colored them with Pale Papaya Blends pens. And I started out by just coloring the entire flower with the Pale Papaya, this light color. And then I came back with the dark, and I used the pen end, and I added some marks. Now there's something I have to show you here, because this is my little oops that I'm going to show you. I didn't wait long enough for my ink to dry. And when you do that, when I did that, my Blends pens smeared the ink and it got a little blurry. I'm not unhappy with it, but it's not the best look. And so that's something to just remember, to let your Memento, Tuxedo Black Memento, which is what I stamped these with. You stamp with watercolor, color with alcohol, stamp with alcohol or pigment, color with watercolors. So I have a page on my blog that talks about all the different inks and how you use them, and also why there's 2 different black inks. Then this is the one for the smaller flower. It is a strip cut 1 1/4 inches wide. And again, I'm going to just color the whole thing with the light. And then I'm going to come back, as you can see here, and I'm going to color just the petals in the darker centers. Make a darker center on that. Just like that. Okay, get the right color caps here. Oops. There we go. So that's those. And then I've already done the leaves. This is the soft succulent. And I colored them with the light soft succulent, then came in and added just a little bit of darkness to them. This size for these is I did them at 3/4 of an inch. And you have to watch how you stamp them for the leaves. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's go ahead and finish cutting out, or stamping, or punching out, I should say, the flowers. So I hope that gives you some idea of how to use your punch with your flowers. So you don't have to punch out the whole thing every time if you don't want to. And like I say, it does leave you a few scraps, but not as many as you would have if you were punching out from a large sheet of paper. So that's the big ones. Then the small ones. Oh, and you got to watch how, one more tip, how the punch sits. So the punch for the large flower is oriented like this, straight up and down, like a cross or a plus sign, okay? The smaller flower, when you stamp it, comes out like here on the punch, like an X. And so you have to punch it in the X shape. And that makes it so that it lines up very easily, as you can see. 1, 2, and pull it this way and get that third one. 3. Okay, so there's those 3 flowers too. We'll get our scraps out of the way, and then we'll do the leaves next. Now this larger leaf, the larger end points this way, and you're going to be putting it into the punch this way, so that you don't have to put in any more than you absolutely have to. And so then it's just a matter of lining it up again. Oopsie. Just turn it upside down, shake those pieces out so they don't get in the way and jam something up. And we'll get enough to hold on to there to get that one. Okay, save my leaves. There's my third one. Get the scraps out of the way. And then the little leaf, you're going to want to put it in from this side, and you can see that the wider end is on this end, and so you're going to stamp it with that at that end, and line it up. Come out, come out. There's a piece in here. There we go. Every once in a while, you just got to empty it out here, because you're going to get some scraps no matter what you do. And they're flying everywhere, but we'll find them. And number 3. Okay, we'll shake that out. Put that away. There's 1 leaf, 2 leaves, 3 leaves. There we go. Get those scraps out of the way. Okay, so there are my flowers and leaves. And then to give your flowers a little bit of life, it always helps to shape them a little bit. And so I took the bottom layer, and I'm going to use the edge of my bone folder and very gently just put a nice little downward curve on the bottom flower, just like that. don't have to worry about doing it too much. It'll kind of go flat when you attach it a little bit anyway, but enough of it will remain that it'll look really cute. And then these top ones, I turned them upside down and I curved them upwards just a little bit. And then we'll put them together. And I attached them to each other with just a little mini glue dot. Okay, let me get my glue dots. And I just put a glue dot in the center of each one of the larger flowers, just like that. And like that. And like that. And then I'm going to offset these when I attach them. Just like that. There's my flowers. Now I'm going to attach these leaves to them. And again, I just took dimensionals and I kind of rolled them up on my finger. I'm putting them on the front of the leaf at the very tip of the end right here. And then just attaching it to the flower like that. We'll get them all built up here. And they each got one large leaf and one small leaf. I did not make them all the same. This one I'm going to do like this. There's that one. Attach this one. And another glue dot. And another leaf. And let's kind of do that one over this way like that. And then just kind of peeking out. And you can adjust them to however far in or far out. Far out, man. Far out you want them. And of course you can turn your flowers and attach them however you wish. So that part doesn't really matter either. Get that in here. I'm going to go like that with this one, just to be different. Then on the backs of each of these, I'm going to put a dimensional. Just one right in the middle. Now don't go away because I have some things I want to show you. I don't know about you, but when I'm doing something like this, I'm always thinking of how to color the flowers or how to, make them look nice. And so I did a bunch of samples for you that I'm going to share with you and tell you how I did them. And so just stick around for a little bit. Okay, then these can just go on here, and you can actually use your stripes on this pattern on the paper to kind of see. I usually put the middle one on first and then adjust the other two accordingly. And there's the card, except for that little thing that I did on the inside where I just stamped it, the large flower, and colored it in. So we can do that as well, but I'm not going to do that now. You've seen me do that. You know how to do that. Then I also did the envelope, and I just took a piece of my designer series paper, and I cut this piece. It is 2.5 by 6. And the way I do an envelope is I take the flap and I'm going to put, turn it over here, I'm going to put tape down this edge here, close to the edge as I can get it. Then I'm going to open it up and lay it flat, and I'm going to put tape down these edges. And across the open flap part, just like that. And then I am going to stick it down. And I'm going to line it up. I'm turning it over so that I can see the folded closed edge of my envelope. And I'm laying this down centered from side to side, or whatever you want to call it, and laying it down. And you can see it's a little bit bigger. That's what I wanted, so I didn't have to be too exacting, because then I can come back with my scissors. And you can do this with any size or shape flap that you have that way, because it's just so much easier to just stick it to the flap and then trim off the extra. And away we go. And you know, when you get something in the mail and you see that pretty color on the outside, you know that when you open it up, you know before you ever open it that it's going to be something special from someone special. And so it just kind of gives you that, whoever you send it to, it just gives them that extra little piece. So there's the envelope. Now let me show you some of the different flowers that I did. You could stamp tone on tone. So this is the larger flower, and I stamped it tone on tone, so it's pale papaya stamped on pale papaya. And this one, I just took and added some little white specks using the Stampin' Chalk marker. And I don't know, it just looked like little sparkles on the flower. So I really liked that idea. Then that got me to thinking, well, let's try this. And I took and stamped it. And then I went ahead and colored in with the pale papaya light. And then I used the white to accent the center pieces. And that is a really pretty idea too. Then here's one where it's stamped with the Memento Black and just colored in completely with a Stampin' Blend. And this happens to be polished pink. I believe the dark, yes. But you could also stamp it and just put it in light, but not go clear to the edges. Isn't that kind of pretty? And then I added the accents in the darker as well. And I think that's kind of pretty too. On the smaller flower, I did this, and I didn't worry about staying inside the lines for those center pieces. I kind of went outside of the lines, got a little sloppy, so to speak, but I didn't go clear and fill it all the way in. I left that white around the edges, and that kind of gave it a unique look too. And you could, you know, you just could do that. Then I thought about just using them plain, black and white. And you could layer them down the side of a page, or you could go ahead and double them up. But then another thought crossed my mind. What if I got a blend pen and we had these black and white ones, and we took some ink pad. This is where you forget sometimes that you have all these tools, but blend pens, they give you a unique opportunity to go very, very light and then build color. And so you can get just a very hint of color. And so that's what I want to do. I want to get just a hint of color. I don't want to get real dark, just a tiny hint of color in the centers here of these flowers. That one almost got more dark than I wanted it. But see, then that's kind of a pretty thing to do too. And again, with these, just adding a little shade of color, but not worrying about staying inside the lines or anything. Just adding some color. And keeping the primarily black and white look with just a hint of color. So that's another way that you could do it. So there are several different ways that you could do your flowers for your card. Just wanted to show you some different ideas so that you can, so maybe it'll spark your creativity and you'll be able to do it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like I said, I try to bring you some tips and tricks and things like that along the way, and not be just a card making video, because I know that most people can figure out how to make their cards all by themselves, but don't always have all the little tips and tricks from those of us that have been doing this for, like me, 30 years. So there you have it. I am really glad you stopped by. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Here's another look at that card. Oh, and I almost forgot. I forgot the genial gems. I put one genial gem in the center of each flower. Don't forget that, but bling is important. Thanks again for stopping by. You have a great day. Bye for now.